The observation deck of the Galactic Council station hummed with its usual sterile efficiency as Ambassador Jasmine stood before the crystalline viewport, watching stars blur past in the endless void. Behind her, the emergency klaxons suddenly screamed to life. Hull breach in Sector 7. Cytherian combat vessel detected. Jasmine's blood ran cold. The Cytherian six-armed predators who had terrorized the outer colonies for decades had somehow penetrated Council space. She sprinted toward the emergency pods, her heart hammering against her ribs. That's when she saw her as a Cytherian warrior, scales gleaming like obsidian in the emergency lights, cornered in a damaged corridor. But this wasn't the fearsome creature from intelligence reports. This one was small, barely adolescent by Cytherian standards, with one arm hanging limply at her side, violet blood pooling beneath her. The young alien's vertical pupils dilated with pure terror as Jasmine approached. The creature hissed, a sound that mixed defiance with desperation. Then, in a gesture that would haunt Jasmine forever, the young Cytherian closed her eyes and lowered her head, the universal sign of submission among her species. She was waiting for death. Jasmine's hand hovered over her sidearm. Every training protocol screamed at her to neutralize the threat. The Cytherians had destroyed human colonies, had killed thousands. This creature's people had shown no mercy. But looking at those closed eyes, at the trembling form of someone barely more than a child, Jasmine saw something else entirely. She holstered her weapon. "It's okay," Jasmine whispered, kneeling slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The Cytherian's eyes snapped open, confusion flooding those alien features. No prey had ever spoken to a Cytherian like this. No enemy had ever shown weakness. Jasmine pulled the emergency medical kit from her belt, her hand steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The young alien flinched as Jasmine approached, but desperation kept her still. Gently, carefully, Jasmine began treating the wounds. "My name is Jasmine," she said softly, working on the damaged arm. "What's yours?" The Cytherian made a series of clicking sounds, then seemed surprised when her translator implant kicked in. "Saratha," she hissed quietly across the station. In the command center, Captain Kevin Chen watched the security feed with mounting disbelief. "Ambassador, what are you doing?" he barked into the comm. "That's a hostile." "That's a child, Captain," Jasmine replied calmly, never taking her eyes off Sif. "And she's hurt. The council will have your head for this," Kevin warned. But even as he spoke, he was redirecting security teams away from Jasmine's location. He'd served with Jasmine for 3 years. If she saw something worth protecting, he'd trust that instinct. As Jasmine worked, Saratha began to speak in halting phrases. Her clutch ship had been attacked by rival Cytherians, she explained. She'd fled into council space, not realizing where she was until it was too late. Her crew was dead. She was alone. "You're safe now," Jasmine promised, sealing the last wound. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Those words rippled across the galaxy faster than any warp drive. Within hours, the security footage had leaked. Within days, it had spread to every corner of known space. Humans, those strange, emotional creatures who'd only recently joined the galactic community, had done the impossible. One of them had shown mercy to a Cytherian. The Cytherian Dominion High Command watched the footage in stunned silence. In their entire violent history, no species had ever treated their young with kindness. They expected brutality. They understood strength as this was something alien to them. Ambassador Sakrel, leader of the Cytherian military fleet, arrived at the council station 3 days later. The galaxy held its breath, certain this was the beginning of war. Instead, Sakrel requested a private meeting with Ambassador Jasmine. Kevin insisted on being present, his hand never far from his weapon as the massive Cytherian warrior entered the conference room. Sakrel's 6 arms could have torn them both apart in seconds. But the Dominion leader did something no one had ever witnessed. She lowered her head and closed her eyes just as young Saratha had done. "You saved my daughter," Sakrel said, her voice thick with emotion that the translator struggled to convey. "In our culture, this creates a life debt that can never be repaid. You could have ended a future threat to your species. Instead, you chose compassion." Jasmine stood, meeting Sakrel's gaze directly. "I chose to see a person, not an enemy." That moment changed everything. The Cytherian Dominion, fierce and unyielding for millennia, requested peace talks. They cited the human principle, the radical idea that mercy could be strength, that compassion could bridge even the darkest divides. Other species watched in amazement. Humanity had accomplished what centuries of warfare couldn't, not through superior weapons or tactical brilliance, but through the simple act of one human choosing kindness over fear. 6 months later, Jasmine stood in the newly constructed Human Cytherian Cultural Exchange Center, Saratha at her side. The young Cytherian was studying human medicine, determined to heal as she had been healed. Kevin approached, shaking his head with a smile. "You know the Council is calling you the most dangerous diplomat in the galaxy, right?" Jasmine laughed. "Dangerous? You made them all question everything they thought they knew about conflict and resolution," Kevin explained. "You proved that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is close your fist and open your hand instead." As Jasmine watched Saratha interact excitedly with human students, she understood what Kevin meant. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their strategic minds, it was their stubborn, illogical, beautiful refusal to let fear extinguish hope. And that, more than any fleet or weapon, would reshape the galaxy forever. The end.